Today we're going to talk about chapters 11 to 15 in Wish by Barbara O'Connor. So let's start, okay guys? Okay, so, wait a sec, okay. So the next day at school, it seemed like the clock had stopped. And have you ever felt that way? And also that Audrey Mitchell sat right next to Charlie. So Charlie said that Audrey couldn't sit here, right? And Audrey said that she could. Who do you agree with? And then Charlie kept on thinking, pineapple, 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 but it didn't work. Do you think it's because Charlie just is very angry and that trick can't work, or do you think that that trick is just useless? But anyway, also, I also wanted to ask you, how do you think that Audrey felt when she was pushed? And, and I also wanted to ask you about Howard, right? And so Howard made so he gave some papers to his mom, and he was like, ta-da! And they were because they were really good, right? The papers from school. And how do you think that Charlie felt, because she didn't have things she didn't have mothers who did this, and she just didn't have the grades for it anyway, right? Her everything was marked up. And also, I also wanted to ask you about something else, and it was about Mr. Odom. And Mr. Odom said that Charlie was a spinning image of her mama, of Charlie's mom, right? What did you think about that, and were you surprised about this? And then we learned that Charlie's mom has been at Gus and Bertha's. Were you surprised? And why did you think that she was up there? And also, do you really think that the trap is gonna work though? Okay, so now we keep on waiting, right? And then we keep on talking about this, Charlie's mom coming, and we learned that Charlie's mom abandoned Charlie when she was really young and came to Gus and Bertha's house for a new life. Okay, how do you think that Charlie felt about this? And why do you think that Carla is so, I'm just gonna call her Carla, okay? Charlie's mom is pretty long, but Carla's shorter, okay? But anyway, Carla, she said that she's gonna have to start a new one, right? Why do you think that she's such like that? And also, Bertha told Carla that she shouldn't do this, right? She should go back. And but Carla went back, right? What do you think about this? And Who do you think is right, Bertha or Carla? And also, I wanted to ask you about the dog, right? About Wishbone. And what do you think that Wishbone's doing at this exact moment? What? And also, I really want to ask you about Charlie's wish. She makes a wish at the end of chapter 12. What do you really think this wish is? This is a really important wish if you keep on wishing for it, right? But before we keep on talking, I wanted to ask you something. And it is about Charlie's mother. So what I wanted to ask you was, do you think that in some way that Bertha, right? Bertha and Charlie's mom aren't very close, right? And why do you think that Charlie's mom went back to Charlie when she could have just run away? She could have, I don't know, if she had some money and some clothes, she had some clothes and all that, she could go to, okay, I'm gonna choose a random city in my mind, okay? She could, or just a random place, she could go to, I don't know, California and start a new life. She could work at a job. She could buy a house. She'll be free. And California, let me tell you, is an amazing place. Along with a lot of amazing national parks, there's also the ocean, which is amazing to swim, snorkel, scuba dive, and also surf and boogie board on. Amazing, right? Or she could have gone to somewhere else, like New York City or DC. She could have been free. Why do you think she went back to Charlie then? Okay, but anyway, and also, I wanted to ask you about, do you think that Charlie's a quitter? And then Mrs. Odom is on the front porch, right? She just goes onto the front porch, and that is just when Charlie says this: well, at least I'm not a squirrel-eating hillbilly like you. Hillbilly like you, not a hillbilly, but a hillbilly like you. But there was Mrs. Odom. How do you think that Mrs. Odom felt, and how do you think that Charlie felt about this? But then she went to her trap, and there was Wishbone. Okay, so at that moment, how do you think she felt? What's an adjective? How would you describe this? And do you think that Wishbone and Charlie will be good together? And also, I also wanted to ask you about something else, and it's this: do you think that Wishbone one day, do you think that he and Charlie, I'm pretty sure that they're gonna become friends, right? But do you think it's gonna work out right on the bat, or do you think that it's gonna take some time? I'm not very sure on this. Actually, well, on the first time I read it, I wasn't very sure on this, and this is actually my second time reading this book. Oh, but anyway, this might have changed. But just don't. This is not a spoiler. I'm just saying, don't underestimate how fast friendship can come. Okay. Okay. So, how do you like Wishbone? And do you think that Wishbone is gonna be a nuisance to the house? And how do you think that Charlie's mom is gonna react to Wishbone? And also, if you were Charlie, do you think that you would go down to Howard's house, or would you be too embarrassed? Excuse me, I'm getting the yawns. Oh, but anyway, I also wanted to ask you about Wishbone, right? Do you think that Wishbone's enjoying himself? And also, there was a funny story about the mayor. What do you think about this mayor? And also, there's Howard's mom, right? And then, Mrs. Odom is really nice about it to Charlie, though. Were you surprised about that? And do you think that even if Mrs. Odom doesn't show anything, do you think she was impacted in any way? And how do you think that Charlie felt about this? That how Mrs. Odom had forgave her so quickly? And do you think that she's ever experienced this in her whole life? And also, Mrs. Odom said that she wanted Charlie on her team. What did you think about that? And do you think that Charlie deserves this position or not? And then at the end of chapter 14, she thinks this, right? This is a paragraph at the end of chapter 14. And in the middle of that happy moment, I had a tiny seed of a thought that I hurried to push out of my mind before it had time to grow. That thought was this: where in the world do I belong? Excuse me. Where do you think that Charlie belongs? Where do you think that you belong? And also, if you had to name a sin, then what would your sin be? Also, like, if it's okay, sin, what do you think is the most horrible sin in the world? And also, and then an amazing miracle happens, right? Audrey mutters, "How about kicking and shoving?" Right? And Howard is saying to Charlie, "Pineapple, pineapple, pineapple." And amazingly, she said, "I shouldn't have kicked you and shoved you like I did, Audrey. I'm sorry." Oh my God. How do you think that Charlie was feeling at that moment? What do you think caused her to do this? Do you think it was because she was in church, or because of the trick, or because of both, or was something else? And what did you think about Audrey's response? And do you think that Charlie is right now progressing to settling into Raleigh, not to Raleigh, but to the mountains? And also, do you think that she's getting friendlier too? Also, I wanted to ask you about something else, and it was about Jackie. Do you think that Jackie's ignoring Charlie too much? And also, I wanted to ask you about something else. And do you think that Charlie is gone and forgotten? Oh, and also, I wanted to ask you about something else. It was Howard. And do you think that Howard, so do you think that Howard will, Howard is a very good friend, right? And what I wanted to ask you was, do you think that Howard, so this is actually a sort of, we are going to look into that question a little later, but what I wanted to ask you was about Howard and his up-down walk. How do you think that this affects his life? And also, if you are Howard, would you want that to be rid of, or would you like it because it was unique? And do you think that Howard, do you think that he will one day get a pet? Oh, and I know that you're thinking, what does this have to do with the story? Well, first of all, I'm just curious, but I actually had a different thought that I wanted to actually say, but this is connected with the question I just asked. Howard's a really good companion, right? Do you think that he will be a good companion to a dog? And do you think that Charlie one day will help him make a trap? Or do you think that's not possible? Anyway, I just wanted to ask you that. And lastly, I just wanted to ask you, what was your favorite part in these chapters and then the whole book so far? What do you predict is going to happen next? What's your favorite and then your least favorite characters? And how do you like the book, this amazing book so far by Barbara O'Connor? Barbara O'Connor has made some other books. I have a list of them, okay? It's Beethoven in Paradise, Me and Rupert Goody, Moon Pie and Ivy, Fame and Glory and Freedom, Georgia, Take Care of Moses, How to Steal a Dog. How to Steal a Dog is I think it's pretty famous. Greetings from Nowhere, The Small Adventure of Popeye and Elvis, The Fantastic Secret of Owen Jester, On the Road to Mr. Minos. I'm not very sure if I pronounced Minos right. But anyway, I hope that you had a great day. Not a great day, but a great session with me and the amazing book Wish. The story is getting much more exciting, right? We're waiting for what's gonna happen next, right, guys? So read on, okay? Have an awesome rest of your day or night. And I also wanted to tell you something. It's not a spoiler. It's just that Charlie, right? Do you think that Charlie will be a completely different person by the end of the book? Okay, now that was my last question, so I hope that you had a great time with me again. Have a great rest of your day or